Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is your course in charge Dr. Nigar Server. Today I would like to start my second session about course Introduction to Mass Communication. In this session we will discuss process of communication. There are 8 elements in the process of communication: source, encoding, message, channel, decoding, receiver, feedback and noise. Encoding. Now first I would like to tell you about the source. Source initiates the process by having a thought or an idea that he or she wishes to transmit to some other entity. The source may or may not have knowledge about the receiver of the message. Source can be single individual, group, or even organization. Now come to second element of communication process, which is encoding. Encoding refers to the activities that a source goes through to translate thoughts and ideas into a form that may be perceived by the senses. When you have something to say, your brain and your tongue work together, usually, to form words and spoken sentences. When you write a letter, your brain and your fingers cooperate to produce patterns of ink or some other substance that can be seen on paper. Encoding in a communication setting can take place one or more times. In a face-to-face conversation, the speaker encodes thoughts into words. Over the telephone, this phase is repeated, but the phone subsequently encodes sound waves into electrical energy. Now, another element of communication process is message. The message is the actual physical product that the source encodes. When you talk, your speech is the message. When you write a letter home, what you put on the paper is the message. When a television network presents the programs are the message. Human beings usually have a large number of messages at their disposal that they can choose to send. Message can be directed at one specific individual or at millions. Message can be cheap to produce, the spoken word, or very expensive, like any book. Some messages are more under the control of the receiver than others. For example, think about how hard or easy it is for you to break off communication in a face-to-face conversation with another person, during a telephone call, or while watching a TV commercial. Another element of communication process is channel. Channel are the ways the message travels to the receiver. Sound waves carry spoken words. Light waves carry visual messages. Air currents can serve as olfactory channels, carrying message to our noses. Touch is also a channel, such as braille. Some messages use more than one channel to travel to the receiver. For example, radio signals travel by electromagnetic radiation until they are transformed by receiving sets into sound waves that travel through the air to our ears. Another element of communication process is decoding. The decoding process is the opposite of the encoding process. It consists of activities that translate or interpret physical message into a form that has eventually meaning for a receiver. As you read, you are decoding a message. Both human and machines can be thought as decoders. The radio is a decoder, so a DVD playback unit, so is the telephone. One end encodes and the other end decodes. So is a film projector. A single communication event can involve many stages of decoding. A reporter attends a city council meeting and takes notes on a laptop, is decoding, and then write a story and send it to an editor who reads, again decoding, and edit it. Eventually it is published and read by an audience. This is also a decoding process. What we said earlier about decoding also applies. What we said earlier about encoding also applies to decoding. Some people are better at it than others. Many of you will not be able to decode. Another element of communication process is the receiver. The receiver is the target of the message, its ultimate goal. The receiver can be a single person, a group, an institution, or even a large collection of people. The receiver of the message can be determined by the source, as in a telephone call, or they can self-select themselves into the audience, as with the audience for a TV show. It should also be clear that in some situations, the source and receiver can be in each other's immediate presence, while in other situations they can be separated by both space and time. Now, another element of communication process is feedback. Feedback refers to those responses of the receiver that shape and alter the subsequent messages of the source. Feedback represents a reversal of the flow of communication. The original source becomes the receiver, the original receiver becomes the new source. Feedback is useful to the source because it allows the source to answer the question, how I am doing. Feedback is important to the receiver because it allows the receiver to attempt to change some elements in the communication process. Communication scholars have identified two different kinds of feedback: positive feedback and negative feedback. In general terms, positive feedback from the receiver usually encourages the communication behavior in progress. Negative feedback usually attempts to change the communication or even to terminate it. Feedback can be immediate or delayed. Immediate feedback occurs when the reaction of the receivers are directly perceived by the source. A speech maker who hears the audience hooting while he or she is talking is getting immediate feedback. On the other hand, suppose you just listen to the music by a popular group and decided it wasn't very good. To communicate that evaluation to the source, you would first have to identify the company that distributed the CD and find a mailing address, phone number, email address, or website address. You would then have to send your feedback through the appropriate channel. If you got your message through to the company, it would still have to be passed on to the group, a process that might take several days or even longer. Another element of communication process is noise. The final factor we will consider is noise. Communication scholar define noise as anything that interferes with the delivery of the message. A little noise might pass unnoticed, while too much noise might prevent the message from reaching its destination. There are at least three different types of noise. Number one is semantic noise, second mechanical noise, and the third one is environmental noise. Semantic noise occurs when different people have different meanings for different words and phrases, or when the arrangement of words confuses the meaning. For example, the word soda. For soda has different meaning in different culture. Noise can be also mechanical. This type of noise occurs when there is a problem with the machine that is being used to assist communication. A TV set with a snowy picture, a pen running out of ink, and a static field radio are all examples of mechanical noise. The third form of noise can be called environmental noise. This type refers to sources of noise that are external to the communication process but that interfere with it. Some environmental noise might be out of the communicator's control. The noise at a restaurant, for example, where the communicator is trying to hold a conversation. Some environmental noise might be introduced by the source or the receiver. For example, you might try to talk to somebody who keeps drumming her on his finger on the table. Okay, this is all for today's lecture. In our next lecture, we will meet soon with our third session. Okay, Allah Hafiz.